Hi everybody, it's Diana. Today is December 24th. Let's take a look at, let's take a look at the energy for my Virgo friends. So if you have Sun, Moon, or Rising in Virgo, this reading could be especially illuminating for you. One more right here. The cards on the left are the energy, representing energy that a lot of Virgos have worked with this last several months. And those energy could be fading or possibly lingering a little bit into these three cards that represent the energy, the predominant energy a lot of Virgos will be working with between now through end of March to end of winter. And the cards on the bottom are essentially advice cards or cards that's representing the lessons the universe is asking Virgos to learn. For energy of the recent past, it seems that, let me see. It seems like a lot of you were trying to make a decision that almost feel like you were sitting in a little bit of fog and you were trying to make sense of it all, and you were really just trying to cut through all the BS, cut through the confusion, and get trying to get a more clear perspective of what is all that is going on. And that seems to be energy that you wanted to make your move. You're realizing, you were slowly coming to a realization of something. Of course, some of the cards, I can't quite see what that something was or may be. But a very much of energy of you were slowly realizing something in your life, a situation was not quite working out to your liking. Maybe it was great at one point, but slowly deteriorated. And just giving everything that's happening in your life over the last 3 to 6 months, you start to realize that things have gone downhill to the point that it's no longer meeting your needs. It's no longer acceptable for you. And you have essentially decided to move on. And of course, this is a process that a lot of you might still be working through the details in your mind. You essentially have decided to let go, to move on to better places. And I can see that you are on the verge of deciding or have just recently decided to go to entirely different direction. And there's very much an energy here about one day you sort of woke up and realized the past is gone. And no matter how much you try, you're not necessarily going to be able to get it back. And now's the time to move on. And what I was saying about like trying to see through the confusion, part of it is needing time to process. Part of it is even when we see a fact in front of our own eyes, sometimes it takes a while for our eyes, our brain, and our emotion to get lined up at the same place. And it feels like your heart and your mind is reconciliating what you're seeing, and you finally but definitively realize that the past is gone and you can't go back anymore, and you just need to move on, even if it feels difficult and painful. And some of that energy is lingering to right now, and that will continue on for the next couple months. There's definitely an energy of you are very determined to try to figure out what's going to make you happy and how you can get there. That seems to be a very predominant focus about, oh, I'm going to be very determined. I keep my eyes on the ball. I'm very careful in trying to figure out what I like, what I don't like, and how I can get there. And I feel like everything will unfold and get reorganized in your mind as you shift your different priorities, things will become more and more clear. And I can see that you're working very hard trying to find a solution or trying to find ways to make yourself happier, to make the situation around you better. Maybe you've been bored with something and you decided, you know what, I'm going to take a new hobby. I'm going to learn how to play basketball. I'm going to learn how to play piano. You're strategically trying to decide what's going to make you happy. And a big part of you want to make sure that the plan you put in place is sustainable. It's like long-term, you can do it. And there's also the same element of what you were doing before that you're continuing to the next couple months is the idea of you want to be very truthful and you want to face the truth. And by that, I mean, sometimes as we realize our goals in life have changed and our priorities have changed, it's one thing to realize that's what we want. It's another to fully accept the change and embrace it and recognize that perhaps one example is if you have had a baby in the last year, then obviously you know that the baby comes first. Their priority and needs come before yours, and you just need to sort of rejuggle your schedule and your time management skill sets kick into high gear, and you realize that, you know, I have this beautiful human being in my life now. My life will never be the same. The past is gone. Now my focus is XYZ, and I need to do this to make it happen. That's an example of recognizing something's gone and something has changed, rather, and you have to change your lifestyle now. And you can have a very honest and direct conversation with yourself or your partner about, you know what, for the next several months, our priority is this. And that means I'm not going to be able to, that means I'm not going to be able to go to the gym 7 days a week for an hour each morning before work or after work, because now my priority is this child. Maybe, we take turns and we each go every other day, and one person is home with a baby while the other person get a little bit of a break and go out and exercise. That's just an example of a possible scenario that as you are trying to get refocused of what is now the situation compared to what the old situation was, and you're trying to adjust your goals to make sure that you're still able to do what's necessary to build upon your, try to achieve your goals. At the same time, you got to do things to make yourself happy and healthy and calm. I mean, a little bit of self-care goes a long way. And I can see that you're trying to be very smart about, trying to make sure that everybody's taken care of and there's a good balance. But at the same time, you're being very honest to yourself. You're recognizing the fact that in the example I just mentioned, you're no longer going to be able to go to the gym every single day for an hour. That's just not the reality anymore. Maybe someday that will become the reality again, but for right now, that's not it. Or that you've decided to go back to school full time and only work part-time. So you're accepting the reality that, you know what, my financial situation is going to be a little bit different because now I'm a full-time student. So I can no longer be taking multiple vacations a year. I will no longer be able to upgrade my iPhone every year. That's another example of reconciliating priorities, and just be very direct and honest, both to yourself as well as towards the people who are around you. And at the same time, trying to be very careful about planning. So if you are a full-time student now and no longer working full-time, no, you're going to school full-time and no longer working full-time, obviously you have to be very careful at planning and budgeting about what portion of your savings go towards rent and food and transportation. And there's an element of keeping your focus super sharp, knowing exactly where your priorities are, and at the same time marching towards the finish line of whatever that might be, getting a degree, getting a job, raising a child. And that's sort of the energy I see that's going to be, you're going to be very focused on for the next couple of months. And for the advice card, as well as the lessons we're learning. So again, 3 of Wands is all about planning for the long term. Strategically come up with a game plan that's going to get you to where you need to be ultimately and be very, very successful. Have a solid plan that's followed by steps 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's like the great captain that's planning a long distance journey or planning out, doing the planning before going to battle. It's that kind of leadership and dedication, and be able to think really smart. That's what this card is really embodied in. And what's interesting is when I look at these two cards together, it could mean possibly different things. It could mean that when you're so focused on planning that you might not be completely aware of your surroundings. So if we flip that around, the suggestion could very well be, because you're trying to be, be very strategic and think long term and think very smart about how you're planning things. And at the same time, be open to the ideas people are giving you. Be open and accepting whenever people want to provide some help. So the previous example we were just using about, new parent, and now you have to juggle schedule. Maybe as you guys maybe when you and your family are talking about, well, how we're going to do this, who is going to, when do each of us get a little bit of break throughout the day? And a suggestion is, well, if you have family close by and they offer for your help, instead of just brush them aside as a gut reaction, because you want to be independent, you're still trying to figure out your own schedule before incorporating other people. Maybe just have an honest dialogue and say, I appreciate your help. I actually think we really much needed it. But instead of me giving you an answer right now, how about you give me some time to think about it, 3 to 5 days, and I'll come back to you next week and we can talk about how we can best lean on you for your help. And thank you so much for, offering. That's just a suggestion. That's a suggestion. And when these 3 cards are looking together, the card for Queen of Wands energy is, again, about leadership, about being very focused, but yet at the same time being very open, very friendly, and very warm. Because I know a lot of times when we have a lot of things on our mind and we're trying to go 100 miles a minute and trying to think 1,000 miles per second, sometimes we come off maybe a little short, or like a little abrasive or unappreciative, because we're stressed, we're trying to plan, we're trying to move fast. The energy of the Queen of Wands is very much about being very gracious, very warm and charming, and showing people that you appreciate them reaching out, appreciate them offering for help. So the advice for my Virgo friends for the energy, I should say, for my Virgo friends is for the next several months is very much that you've accepted that your situation has changed, and you understand that you're moving towards a different direction. You're trying to figure out what that direction, what that journey, what new chapter looks like, and how to think long term, be honest to yourself, and be completely honest with those around you, and come up with a solution that's actually going to last, that has staying power. And also, it's this whole idea over here of this whole spread. It's about establishing a long-term plan that's sustainable, and you're building out stability and abundance and wealth, health, and happiness for the long term. And that's pretty much how we sum up your energy, that you're on this journey to create a better future for you and for those you love. And the advice card and suggestion and some of the lessons that you will start to learn or continue to learn for the next couple of months is very much about, as you plan out, as you have this grand game plan and being very careful and thoughtful about executing the plan, you want to be open to everything that's happening around you. So anyone that's offering for help, take it to heart, know that they mean it. Or the example of when you have a new child, as you take a walk around your neighborhood, if you see like a new daycare center that's opening up, maybe you can put that in your back pocket and know that that's potentially an option down the road. It's about paying attention to around you, being open for help and support, and at the same time be very gracious and friendly and appreciative, especially towards those people who love you very much and who are offering you help. Sometimes I know Virgos, you're incredibly responsible. You just want to do everything on your own because, one, because you can, two is because you feel like you might be able to do everything better because at the end of the day, you know yourself better than anyone else. I think that advice for the next several months is very much about opening yourself up to help and everyone who wants to support you. And that is what I see for my Virgo friends. So obviously, if you have Sun, Moon, or Rising in Virgo, I think hopefully this advice will be especially helpful for you. And I really appreciate it if you can like the video, subscribe to my channel, and definitely I look forward to chat with you guys again very soon. Have a fantastic day, my Virgo friends.